Hey guys, and welcome back to Rainbow Repair. I'm sure glad you decided to join us here. We absolutely love making these videos, and we love it more when you watch them. This is our next project. This is a Kawasaki KLX110. Not super sure of the year of this thing, but it's going to be early 2000s. But anyway, that is what we're working on next. I got a couple issues with this sweetheart. First of all, this Kickstart. You hear it clicking? And then it catches once in a while. Yep, that's the first problem. There's a one-way sprag clutch inside this centrifugal clutch in here, and that's not catching all the time like it should. So we're gonna have to dig into that and find out what's going on. And we have other signs that pretty much just neglect more than anything. Just gets rode a lot. Doesn't get maintained a lot, just gets rode a lot. We got the air box back here, and then the other thing I noticed right off the bat is the condition of our chain and sprockets. You can see we have some teeth gone there, and then on the back sprocket you can see we have some real leaners on there. Let me see if I can get you a better shot of that. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Got some real leaners. So we're going to replace the chain and sprockets and do everything else we need to do, but first we're going to tear into the side of this sweetheart and find out what the heck is going on with our clutch. Now this has also been sitting for quite some time, and the gas stinks to high heaven. So I am certain we're going to need to go into the carburetor. First of all, let's get to pulling this cover off and see exactly what we find in there. All right, first order of business is to drop the foot pegs off this thing because we can't get this cover off without being able to clear this. So let's get to hopping. Just 4 bolts. Got to make it go the right way. Looks like we need to drop our skid plate too. That's going to take a couple of 8mm, one right here and one on the other side. And all kinds of stuff should start falling off. Man, we got an oil leak on this thing too we're going to have to resolve. Can't send it back home leaking oil. All right, that's out of our way. Next, we're going to stick something in here and keep our brake down. We'll back it off. So you make it come down a little farther. And we're going to just go ahead and pop our spring off here, and that way it'll be out of our way. All right, we're going to go drop our spring off our rear brake pedal so it can just be out of the way. Let's see if we can work this off with a screwdriver. If I don't poke myself in the eye or the head. There we go. Now that'll stay down out of the way. Alrighty, our drain plug lives right here, so let's get you focused somewhere near the right place. We'll drop that down. Well, the good news is, don't feel like it's stripped. Comes out nicely. You know, it's always about now I think I should have wore gloves. And I should have. Well, that's why the drain plug isn't stripped. I'm not sure it's ever been changed. Probably the first time it's ever been out. There we go. We got about a dozen number 3 Phillips screws there. Alrighty, here we go. None of these very tight. All the same so far. That's got that thing on it, but I think he'll stay somewhere near there so we can find it. Really what'll happen is it'll get in the oil pan. And un mas. There we go. Holy cow, that come off well. And of course our gasket's broke. That just goes without saying, that's going to happen. There it goes. Now it's just freewheeling like it's not supposed to. All right, so we know everything's turning up to here, but the crankshaft isn't turning. And that's how we know, without a doubt, we're headed in the right direction. There she is, 19, first try. Or second, something like that. That's okay. Alrighty, this piece right in here is our clutch, our one-way clutch. It's supposed to only let this turn one way without the crankshaft. But as you can see, once in a while it lets go. So we'll pull this forward. Let's see if we got a special groove to get into or anything. No. We got to pull this clutch in order to get this one off. What a silly design. Jeez. Get our clutch operation mechanism out of the way there. Here we go. Yep, straight to oil pan. There is the pressure plate keeper. Clutch springs. There's 4 of them, not 6. Then we got to take the nut off inside of there. There we go. Take that nut out, and then both of these probably have to slide out at the same time. What a ridiculous design. All right, we'll set our clutch back over there. This is what we're looking for. See if we can stay in focus here. This piece goes to the crankshaft. And then this is our actual clutch. It's a one-way clutch, but it's just not working like it should. This doesn't look too bad. It's still pretty smooth. Let's see if we can get this to focus on here real quick. That's still pretty smooth. Usually these get like bumps in them, and that's why it doesn't grab. This one isn't so really bad yet. It's just not working as it should. See if we can get that clutch, that sprag clutch out of there. Ooh, almost. There it is. This is the one-way clutch. Now this only works going one way, obviously. Sprag clutch, one-way clutch, whatever you want to call it. That's what it does. Has an arrow on it, shows you the direction of travel. But these get the way they chatter in here, and this one is not chattering so much as it's just not gripping. This is our one-way clutch, or sprag clutch, and these things will stand up and grip whenever we're going one way, and then they'll relax the other way. That's how it turns. It locks up one way and it turns freely the other way. This doesn't have anything to do with actual how the transmission works or if it's shifting, none of that. All this has to do with is engine braking and starting. Whenever you chop the throttle and you're going down the road or down the trail and the thing's engine braking, this is locking up, allowing this thing to engine brake. Same thing whenever you go to kickstart it. This is not primary kickstart. It drives through the other clutch into here, through this, into the crankshaft. So the first thing you notice is this thing doesn't really want to engine brake. It'll freewheel sometimes. Also, the starter won't work. In this case, our Kickstarter does not work. And this sweetheart here, right here, is the reason why. So we'll get one of those. Didn't take too long to get in here, did it? Not too bad. Let's take a tour. What do you say? This is our crankshaft, and it has a gear back here that runs all the time the crankshaft does that drives the oil pump. Now the oil pump, it obviously supplies oil throughout the engine. It turns all the time the engine does. There's a little screen in here that you can clean out. This thing also has an oil filter on the front of it. This is the shift shaft. So if you move the shifter on the other side of the engine, that shaft moves. And this part up here actually does the shifting. This is the shift drum up here. And this thing will rotate this a little bit. Let me shift up and you can kind of see that thing turn. Well, I don't have enough strength to make it turn. Anyway, that will turn. This turns one spot at a time. There's a little arm in here that keeps it in place. It's got humps and valleys in it. Now, this thing, all this linkage is just to do the shifting. This is your Kickstarter shaft. The Kickstarter shaft goes in here and it drives a gear inside here. You can see when I turn that shaft, that gear in there turns. Well, when the Kickstarter is engaged, it engages that gear, goes through one gear on this shaft, through a gear on this shaft, into here, into the clutch, so on and so forth, just like we described earlier. That's essentially all that's really going on here. You want to take a look at the screen? Well, good news, I do too. There we go. That is the oil pump pickup screen. And really, it doesn't look too plugged. Not a lot of debris or anything. Now, we'll clean that up and clean that passage out before we put it back together. But that's really pretty clean. That's all there is to really show on this side. We'll get a Sprag clutch for this thing, and we can put this side back together. Of course, a gasket, we're definitely going to need one of those. But the good news is, this is the same as a DRZ110. All right, need to pull our side cover off here to get access to our carburetor. Get our rubber boot out of the way. That's what I'm talking about, right there. Now we can pull this up and out. Maybe, if we got enough slack. Oh, look at that. I love it when a plan comes together. We'll flip this around to, there we go. One choke cable off. This thing's got some strangeness about it for sure. Next, let's get our clamp out of the way. Get it loosened up. We get our air box out of the way. There, we'll move that over there. I like it when stuff works. I'm very much in favor of stuff working. Before we get our carburetor completely loose, let's get our fuel line off here. Here we go. I'm going to guess the fuel's off. Nope, it's just out of gas. Get that down and out of the way. Let's just wait till we get our other screw out. I'm going to go around the other side and take that other screw out. That carb mounting screw, if I can get to it. I might be able to get to it from this side. All right, looky there. That is one miracle that did not cease. Get our carb drain off of here. And we probably have a vent line. Yep, over on the other side. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and take our slide loose here. Not too bad. Yeah, she smells all right. We're going to try to leave this on here because there's a gasket back here and I don't want to disturb it if I don't have to. What do you say we pop the bowl off our carburetor and see what's in here? Well, it's kind of interesting. Let's see what we can see here. This has some white goo in here. Now, is that enough to keep it from running? No, probably not. But we're going to clean the carburetor on this thing anyway and make sure it's as good as it can be. Float pin's stuck in there. Let's pop our jets out. Either pilot jet or low speed jet, depending on how old you are. And we got some goo on there. Just set that one aside. See if we can take our emulsion tube out with our jet. Oh yeah. Not sure anybody's been in here. This stuff comes apart pretty good. Yeah, you can see we got more of the white junk up here. Let me see if I can get this to work. See that white junk on there? Don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, but it's there. Float bowl gasket. Get that baby out of the way. It come out kind of excitingly. Good news is we didn't break the carb body. Man, I wish you could smell this because it smells terrible. You know, I always hate that when somebody goes, here, try this. I think it's terrible. Well, what do I want to try it for? Do you think this is still good? No, I'm not trying it. Yep, we got a plugged up air passage there for sure. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and knock our emulsion tube out of here so we don't lose it later, if it'll come out. It may not. Oh. I know I said I didn't want to disturb that, but it turns out it has an O-ring under it instead of a gasket. Whoever built this thing for Kawasaki should be happy about that. I don't know if this is Kawasaki built or not. I know it's not Japanese, so kind of doubting it. Let's see here. Yeah, it's going down. Yeah, there's only so hard you want to push on stuff, and I was reaching that limit pretty quick. There's our jet needle. This is actually the needle jet. So that's out. That's out. We need to take our low speed screw out, or pilot screw, whatever you want to call it. Trying to rock my screwdriver sideways and bite that just a little bit and pull it out. Gotta tell you, it's not working. Might as well get all the tools out. There we go. See, this has an O-ring on the outside. This is definitely a fuel screw. Should be a spring. There it is. There will not be anything else down in that hole because of how this thing sets and works. This is your idle speed screw, or idle adjustment here. We're not going to mess with that one because no need to take it out. That'll be good enough to get this thing into the ultrasonic cleaner or the Vibratron, and we'll give it a ride and see how she comes out. Alrighty, let's start putting this sweetheart back together. First thing we need is the outer portion of our clutch here. And I think it has to go on the same time as this, if I remember right. I think this has to sit down in here and go on at the same time. I guess I should have put this in gear. There we go. That was the trick to that. All right, that's all the way back now. Then this little sweetheart goes in here, and that's what the other side of the Sprag clutch runs against. Then we have a new one of those, because that was the original problem with this thing kickstarting. Seeing as how kickstarting is the only conveyance to get this engine to run, kind of needs it. This has an arrow on it. I don't know if you can really see that very well or not. This has an arrow right there that shows the direction of rotation. However, this side is different. It's got a snap ring on it, and this side is larger. So this thing's only going to go in one way. And we'll try to get that in there for our next trick. Whoa, she jumped right back out. There's little divots on there that kind of hold that out. I'm just going to shove it in there like that. Then I'll take this piece, and it's got a ledge right here, and I don't remember if that goes in or out. It goes out because there's the tracing mark of it right there. Like that. And now then, this can spin freely this way, but it can't spin the other way. So that's pretty peachy. I like it. This is our centrifugal clutch, kind of like that. These springs are going to go in here, but it seems like there's 4 of these and there's 6 of those. So if we look at this plate, we can see that they're side by side, but not in all 6 of them. These 2 look like they haven't been used. So we'll put one there, one there, one there, and one there. We'll set this plate in here kind of like this and see if we can get these to start. If I can actually find the hole to start them in. Hey, look at that. Oh, you know what? Can't put this on yet. It's going to be very important to get a nut on this thing so it doesn't just completely fall off. There we go. All right, we got those torqued down. All right, we got all our bolts put in our clutch and got everything tightened down and torqued into place. Now we're going to clean up our gasket surface here just a little bit. I scraped it earlier off camera. I just need to wipe some of the oil off of it. Make sure it's relatively dry. When you're doing this, always wipe towards the outside, not towards the inside. Our gasket, I think, is going to sit here like this. Still have both of our dowel pins in place. Whoop, darn near forgot. Gotta put the clutchy stuff in. Alrighty, this has a mark across the shaft right here. And then there's a mark on this arm that lines up with it. It does not go straight up and down like it would on a Honda. It goes off to the side just a touch. Now, I think that'll sit there. I'm going to give it one shot. If it doesn't, then we're getting the grease out, and we're going to grease the cheese whiz out of it to make it stay in place. But we're going to give it a shot without doing that. We're hanging up on our Kickstart shaft. That's in, and if the cover moves whenever I move the shifter, it does. We know all that stuff's in there right. Otherwise, it wouldn't have that effect on it. So we have our gasket in place. We got this set back on. Now we're going to just take and put all our screws back in and run them down, and then check them with the screwdriver to make sure they're close to the right torque. These are just 6mm bolts, 1.0 thread pitch, or screws, I guess I should say. So they're not going to take a whole ton of torque. They're going to take some, but not a whole ton of it. This comes up underneath this bolt, like that. Yeah, we got them all in place. Let's lightly run them down. Just like any other time you're putting covers on, go in a crisscross pattern. That needs to back up and come up like that. And the last one. I'm going to get a number 3 Phillips screwdriver out, and I'm going to check them to make sure they're about how I want them. Oh, there's one we didn't run down. Yeah, we got that one. And that's that. Clutch is in. Now the real question is, will it kickstart? every time. Just like it should. Problem solved. We'll get that part back together. Get our Kickstarter put back on here. That is tightened up with that big long handle. So now we'll get our spring put back on our brake pedal here. That'll probably work. Just like that. Alrighty, our pilot jet here is still plugged up. So I got a hair out of my wire brush and I am going to attempt to run that through this pilot jet. Now I know this isn't very visually exciting, but believe me, man, when you're doing it and it comes through there, it is. This wasn't plugged too bad. I think it's coming through right now. Oh, look at that. She's through. Now once you get it through, then it's pretty easy to go ahead and get this thing to actually flow some carb cleaner through it and get it cleaned up. Don't forget to wear safety glasses when you're messing with the carb cleaner. I can blow through it and I can see through it, so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's stick this baby back together. This is our needle jet. It's the jet that the needle in the slide comes down through, and this side, right here, if I can get it up here where you can actually see something, it has kind of a protrusion and this side does not. This side goes in first. The needle slides down in there. The emulsion tube is going to butt up against this, kind of like that, when it's all inside there. Here they are. This is just going to sit down there and it'll actually start and go in now. Now, on these brass jets, don't go crazy tighten these things down. They do not need to be super duper tight. You need to bottom it out and turn it just enough that everything seizes together like that, pushes together. This is our pilot jet. He's going to go in here. Slow speed circuit jet. Depends how old you are. Once again, this is a pilot jet to me. This is a main jet and emulsion tube. And the younger fellers have some different names for them. I don't know what they are because I'm simply not a younger feller. Float needle. It looks good. See, this stuff all looks kind of shiny because it has a bunch of WD-40 all over it. If I clean a carb and I'm not going to put it back together or run it anytime soon, I WD-40 the heck out of it. That goes like that, and that's pretty much it for inside the bowl, except for the float bowl gasket and the float bowl. We happen to have that stuff right here. This gasket's a little crispy, so I'm hoping it'll still seal okay. There we go. This does not have an extra hole here, right here. It just has a blank there. So that'll kind of give you an idea which way it goes on, but it really doesn't do anything. Line them up, put them in, tighten them up. Same story, different screw. I'm gonna grab a number 2, Phillips. Now our gasket's still in place because this is still seating down. If there's a gap there, then I would think my gasket wasn't in where it should be. Now this is just a little free tip for you here. If this screw, to adjust your speed, the mixture on the low speed, we're gonna go 1/2, 3/4, we'll go 1. If it's on the engine side of the carburetor, then you turn it out to richen it up. If it's on the back side of the carburetor, it's an air screw and you turn it in to richen it up so you slow down how much air is coming in to the pilot circuit. That richens it up. If it's on this side, it's a fuel screw and you want to turn it out to richen it up. Clear as mud? Cool. Okie doke, let's put the carb in. First of all, we're going to put the slide in. Slide has to go with this slot to the idle screw side. Put it in backwards, so he's going to scream when you start it up. If it starts, it'll rev to the moon because you're going to be about half throttle. There we go. Get up our insulator and O-ring over here. O-ring's gonna go right in there. She's still protruding, so I think it'll be okay. About tight enough. That'll do. All right, our choke cable. It's going to come down here and hook onto this sweetness. Slide it straight down. So we'll bring him around here like this. Get in the hole like that, and we're running up. Like so. Get that caught in its groove. Back down, put the rubber boot on so it stays there. All right, choke's on. Hook up our fuel line. This probably has some pretty crap fuel in it, but we'll dilute it down maybe. Goes on there. We'll put a plug wire back on. All right, we got our air boot on. We're just going to tighten up the clamp on it with the most worn out snap-on number 2 screwdriver ever in the history of my toolbox. Pretty sure it is cammed out. Or maybe that's what it does, it cams out. I don't know. That feels pretty good. This bike is in dire need of chain and sprockets. Master link. So we can pop the clip off. It was on the right way. It was on the right way, so that's good. Look at them sweet teeth on there. Yeah. They're definitely leaning. All right, we're gonna have to pull the axle out, but I don't want to pull it all the way out. I just want to pull it out a little ways. Sweet. What the heck is going on with all that? Oh, we must have run out of adjustment, so we added some to it. Uh-oh. Our plan may go south here because those aren't captive on the inside. Might have to take the wheel clear off after all. Not the end of the world. All right, slide our axle out of ways. Get our spacer out. Slide our old sprocket out. We got ourselves a new JT sprocket. Should be both 49 tooth. This is a JT as well. It's just not black. Yeah, I'd say she's 49 tooth, all right. Slide it in here, and then we need the bigger holes. Goodness me, our jack's leaving us. We'll have to see if we can pull those through with a magnet or something, because I really don't want to pull this wheel clear off. I mean, I don't want to bad enough. I'm going to go to more trouble to not do it than it would be to do it. There we go, one caught. Got that cleaned up. Boy, it just looks dry. Drier than a popcorn fart. That's what my dad used to say when something was dry. Drier than a popcorn fart. I don't know where it come from. I just know it come from him. Putting the lid on my grease before I get my shirt tail in it. There we go. There we go. There we go. I happened to got me some brand new snap ring pliers, although I probably should have bought way better ones than I did. I did get some new ones, because I like new ones. Man, they work great. Shoot, see if that'll go around that bracket. It does. Just turns out we happen to have a new front sprocket too. It's also a JT sprocket. You know, I put these with the writing out. It does not matter which way they go on here. But I just like it so you can see the writing on it. Yep, she's on. Voila. All right. Let's lay this baby in here and see how lucky we get with our chain length. Get our pliers in here. There we go. Make sure that hole is to the back when you're putting those on. Where's the cotter pin hole? There it comes. That's pretty good. We'll use a small cotter pin. Let's try this one. Yeah, it's small, but it'll work. Shoop, shoop. All right, guys. Whew, my hands are dirty. We got the carb reassembled and put back on. We got our clutch, our Sprag clutch, our one-way clutch put back in. We're going to have to revisit this, sweetheart, because we got to put fork seals in it yet, and we'll make that a separate video. Well, guys, that about does it for the old Kawasaki 110. We are going to put fork seals in this, but we're pretty much done with it otherwise. We got it running, we got it started, we got the oil change, and got it serviced, put chain and sprockets on it. A few other minor odds and ends. We got to get some front brakes on it, and we got to change out the fork seals. So stay tuned for that, but that'll do it for this video. Thank you, and God bless.